I personally love the holiday seasons, all the different varieties of them. What I really enjoy is window shopping, to see what's going to inspire me to think of a loved one while I'm out browsing about. There's one year, though, that I remember when my husband was working out of town and Rylan was much smaller, that I would think about going shopping and it would just feel overwhelming, just to think about getting out of the house and being out in public, let alone doing any actual shopping. Especially during the holidays, I wonder if you've noticed just how much more commercialism is out there. There's so much less relaxation and ease, and I feel so much more stress and pressure from the environments. My system thinks it's just a little bit too much. There are so many more items on display, and they just seem to tempt you just to impulsively pick them up, and they beg to be purchased. Especially kids, the visuals and the smells, and the sounds can just be overwhelming for the sensory circuits to even navigate underneath. So they get overloaded so much more quickly. And then it's intensified when impulse control seems to be at the forefront to begin with. I know I would find myself in shame spirals, just feeling hopeless when my son would become inconsolable in the stores. He would beg for a toy. He would beg for shoes or for candy. Whatever happened to catch his attention in the moment, he would just beg for it. It would be so pitiful. I remember asking myself, how in the world do you navigate this territory when your child has gotten too big to pick up and carry away from the scene? It's just too big for me to pick up anymore. So I remember I planned a trip one time to Walmart because I had some pictures that I was going to pick up, some photos that I had printed. And so I wanted to do what I called a pre-rehearsal. And now I'd probably call it doing a time travel to the future. And it's really an effective way to bring in the imagination in the right hemisphere in relationship. So I remember I asked Rylan, would you like to go window shopping with me today at Walmart? We'd looked at the Walmart catalog together, and he'd already been circling all kinds of things that he was dreaming about being able to get. So I knew there were going to be quite a few things there that was on his wish list. So what I decided to do was to share a story. Stories are also an excellent way to engage the imagination and to engage with resonance so there can be a felt shared experience. So I shared with him how, as a child, I loved the very rare occasion when we'd get to go window shopping at Christmas, or just during the holidays, but particularly Christmas. So with intention, I clarified, window shopping means that you look at what the stores have rather than buying. You just notice what you think other people might enjoy. And then we'll share with each other what we would enjoy. How does that sound? Does it sound fun? He's like, yeah. He had a lot of enthusiasm. So I double checked though. I said, well, so now we won't be buying anything. Or no, I didn't say it that way. What I did was I asked, so are we going to be buying anything for each other? Or anything that's not on our list? He said, no way. So when we bundled up for these kinds of excursions, remember my son had some sensory processing difficulties. So you can create a bag that you can take with you that has all different kinds of sensory toys in it or sensory things. You can have the squeezy balls. You can have things you can suck on, different sizes and shapes of objects. And it's just something that can help to get the fidgets out and start to calm and relax the nervous system. So we called it our sensory bag of tricks. And we used them for transitions out and back. And then we headed off for a great adventure. Well, we were pretty successful to pick up the photos. And we began browsing our way through the store to pick up the few things that were on our list. And wouldn't you know it, he saw what then was the new Xbox 360 Halo game system. Oh my goodness. He's like, oh, Mom, this is so cool. This is all I want right now. Please, Mom, would you get it for me right now? Please. Whew. So I quickly was able to take in his mounting excitement. And so I empathized. I go, wow, this is the one you marked in your catalog that you really like, isn't it? I said, let's see what all it does and check it out. So we took the time to just get that box down and just look at it. And he read out loud to me everything it said in the box. And I would reflect back. What I would hear was catching his interest. After he was done with that, he set it down and we moved on. But I noticed he kept looking back at that display with longing. His eyes looked so mournful, and the corner of his mouth turned down, and his shoulders began to slump, and his feet dragged like they just had enormous weights on them. He's like, oh, Mom, won't you please just buy it for me now and put me out of my misery? He just moaned. And I said, well, you must feel really torn right now. Is it just so much fun to see something that you've wished for in person, and walking away is just tough? He's like, yeah, I just want it so bad right now. And wouldn't you know it, just then a small family came walking by, and they were expressing excitement and delight as they saw the display. And they picked up the game system and they carried it away. My son's eyes just got huge as he witnessed this act. He said, I just can't do this, Mom. You have to buy it for me now or I'm going to die. And he slowly crouched down on the floor by our cart. So what I did was I took a moment to give myself a little bit of self-empathy, acknowledging just how much pressure I could feel from the environment. And then I just kind of put my son and I in a little bubble, and I just sank right down next to him and allowed myself to really feel into a new wellspring of compassion. Just really getting how hard this was for him. And I made a guess for him. I said, well, does this just feel so incredibly big? Like this moment might never end. And you don't know how you'll ever survive? Is it something like that? His body shifted and he sniffed and he looked over at me and he said, just buy it for me now, Mom, please. I honestly responded to him saying, oh, Rylan, I'd buy you the world to nurture you if I could. And I gave him a warm smile and a little hug. We stood up together and I pointed over there and I saw a digital reader. At the time, I didn't have any such thing. But I said, oh, Rylan, look at there. I really want that. And I bet that you would buy that for me too. Yeah? He nodded in agreement. And I said, oh, Rylan, please, won't you just buy it for me right now? And I inspired myself to just playfully begin to express myself as I imagined a young girl, a small girl might. So I stamped my foot and I pouted my bottom lip out and tilted my head, and then I smiled at him. And I said, won't you buy it for me right now? And Rylan straightened up and he shook his head and he said, but I don't have any money. And I said, Neither do I, Rylan, but I want it now. What am I going to do? Well, then we pushed the cart on. And we slowly walked on together, and he began looking around, and he stopped in front of a display of men's necklaces and bracelets. And he goes, "Look, Mom, these are really cool." And his voice, it sounded steadier, it sounded calmer. He said, "Can I try them on and see how they look?" And we explored the different styles and colors. And as we moved on, I said, "Well, which one did you like best?" And he said, "Oh, this one, I guess." And he gave me an engaging smile. And he said, "I was just choosing to look at them to distract myself so we could window shop again, Mom." And I just took that moment in. That was worth all of the stopping and learning how to stay in relationship with my son. And I could just feel a flush of pleased surprise cascade down my face and down over my body. And I said that. So I am just so pleased and happy that you're using your own internal resources in public, Rylan. How cool is that? And I gave him a great big warm mommy hug. And as we embraced, I sang softly to him, "Yay, Rylan, celebrate Rylan." And then we moved on through the store. I said, "Isn't window shopping fun?" And he said with a twinkle in his eye, "Sure is. Now, what do you think Dad wants?" And on we went with our exploration. So reflecting on this experience, it reminds me yet again just how important and powerful it is to meet not only my loved ones with compassionate curiosity, but to meet myself there as well. Taking that time to drop in to my roots of self-connection in order to stay present with my child in public. When I begin to expect the unexpected to happen at any moment and not make it wrong, then I'm empowered to remain present in the face of the unpredictable. I really did want and still do want the world to be a community where my son continues to experience nurturance. And that begins with me as his mom, choosing to remain in an enduring relationship with him wherever we may be in the moment, but especially when we're in public, and it's the most challenging. Because this is where we're building the new neurocircuitry that does continue to support him to have a meaningful life. So thanks for being on this journey with me today, healing you and sending those ripples out to all we love and care for. If you'd like to be in touch or you'd like to find more resources, you can reach out to me at healingyoursanctuary.com.